It's a beautiful summer for a comic convention. But between Lois crashing out on a totally innocent toy maker, Superman finding out his greatest weakness is as common as free mints now, Kara continuing her identity crisis, and Jimmy performing a catastrophic fumble to end all fumbles, this con's about to get messier than On Key Expo. Ooh, too soon? Hey team, Phantom Skull, the super security VTuber here, and today we're looking at Season 3, Episode 2 of My Adventures with Superman, Mobile Suit Toyman. So grab your con passes and ready your cringe medication to get through Jimmy going full Mordecai. Oh, you poor bastard. Spoilers ahead for the newest episode, you've been warned. And sorry if the editing is a little weird going forward. With this being a recently released season, YouTube is very strict with video and audio usage, as I unfortunately learned last review, so hopefully this won't be an entire clip show if I can dodge the copyright beasts well enough. So the episode begins with both soups of the male and female variety saving lives and stopping petty crooks left and right, showing Kara's more aggressive but restrained way of superheroing compared to her more passive cousin. That will be important foreshadowing for later. After this, we see the gang setting up for Superfest, a comic convention where Kara has her own panel planned, and hoping to rebrand to Power Woman. Yeah, marketing's gonna have a word about that, sis. Meanwhile, Jimmy is setting up a Flamebird booth to sell a bunch of outlandish comics starring him that, hilariously, parody the super dickery clickbait covers of the real-life Superman's pal Jimmy Osland comics, except swapping roles with Clark, which is honestly just hilarious. Especially with Lois becoming incensed at her unflattering cover, which to be honest is pretty on point for this angry little gremlin, as we'll soon see when she discovers glorified cameo supervillain Winslow Schott, aka We Have Toyman at Home, is at the con too. Convinced he's up to no good, she stalks his booth, and to be frank, as we'll go over, she's lucky I wasn't running security for this con, because I'd be tossing her firm tomboy ass out with how she handles this investigation. Meanwhile, Jimmy continues to struggle with his feelings for Kara and a sense of responsibility knowing her past and emotional trauma to ensure that she isn't just settling for the first guy that showed her baseline kindness. Kara is obviously enamored with our boy Jimmy, and flat out asks Jimmy to be her mate. Jimmy, however, gently lets her down, pointing out she's only gotten a taste of a normal life on Earth, and wants her to be sure on her own terms she wants to be with him before they commit, which while hurts her feelings, is the right way to handle this. Now, outside looking in, as funny as all the memes are with people crashing out at him fumbling absolute best girl, Jimmy does have a point with his hesitation to jump into a relationship with Kara. If you think hard about her past and character arc from last season, she very much is the sci-fi equivalent of a sheltered religious gal who just escaped a cult compound, or an abusive and mentally ill youth pastor father. She has no concept of life outside of her very skewed Kryptonian warrior upbringing and what little of Earth culture she's experienced. So Jimmy is handling this pretty maturely and pointing out she's throwing herself at the first healthy relationship she's ever had beyond her cousin, and he wants her to be sure he's what she truly wants, not wanting to feel like he's taking advantage of an emotionally sheltered girl just to score a relationship. Ignoring that Jimmy has his own deep-seated self-confidence issues about thinking he's not good enough for her, kudos to him for being responsible about this. However, he does lose a lot of points when Kara being Kara takes his advice a little too literally and hosts an open call for potential mates at her booth, and immediately becomes a whiny little bitch about the situation he made for himself. Like, good lord, Jimmy, either shoot your shot or commit to your choices. You're going for Mordecai, Jimmy. You never go for Mordecai. There's no coming back, man. Don't do it. Meanwhile, Clark has a side quest dealing with a petty criminal known as the Whip. And despite coming off like Marvel's Whiplash if they were a Dami Mommy, she is based off of an actual DC character. Whip is a solid B-plot villain. Like, she knows what she wants to be, just a hired goon with street cred. And while she suffers from Adventure's biggest complaint of civvy clothes mixed with Kryptonian tech villain design, it kinda works for her dominatrix vibes, which do fire off certain neurons for me that we'll be leaving at that. Don't look at me like that. You're the one making this weird. They also use this opportunity to let the audience know that apparently kryptonite has become so frequent a black market item thanks to all the destroyed metallos last season. I almost thought I was in a solid JJ video.
Here we go again with the kryptonite. It's a very rare stone. Rare my ass. Everyone has one, Clark. A purse snatcher I stopped the other day had like 3 of them on it.
All in all, while just the main action set piece for the episode, she was a fun villain with her casual flirting and being perplexed that Soup's doing what he does for free. I do love casual hero-villain banter like this. It gives me a lot of Spider-Man vibes. Meanwhile, the standout of this episode was definitely Kara, who while obviously dejected at Jimmy's rejection, takes his advice to heart. And during her panel with Cat Grant, while admittedly her questions come off as really loaded and rude, do confront the elephant in the room with her.
May I pet the elephant?
Oh, Kara, Jimmy has no idea what he just fumbled. But it becomes clear that Jimmy is right, that she still hasn't experienced a lot of Earth, and in general, a normal life. And her identity crisis comes roaring back when Kat bombards her with questions of what makes her more than just a female Superman. She herself is unsure about this, and becomes desperate when it seems nobody in the crowd disagrees with the statement. Except for one particular young lady. I can't play the whole clip, but she comments that she admires Kara because she's brave and is a warrior. Unlike Season 2, Kara's empty boasting of the Kryptonian warrior way, which was just her parroting Brainiac's twisted conqueror delusions, the girl describes the main difference between Superman and Supergirl quite elegantly. She likes how Superman protects people, not unlike a friendly security guard, like yours truly. But she admires Kara for being a warrior who fights for people. She is much more gun-ho and proactive to her cousin's passive, reactive, and defensive style of heroics, which Kara appreciates greatly. What a nice little one-off child character. I'm sure she won't be important later.
I'm Jessica. Jessica Cruz.
Well, I'll be damned. Now that's a proper way to introduce a spin-off character. I'm very happy for Kara's new confidence, and her interacting with her fans and prospective suitors was really cute. This Bean of Steel deserves all the love, damn it. Side note, while he's not plot relevant, the scenes with Bizarro wandering the con were really cute as well. It's so sweet to see how his discount Superman outfit is supposed to be him trying to emulate his friend, and his interactions with the cosplayers were sweet. Side note, these Titan cosplayers, reference or no, are very on point. F the haters and performative rage baiters bitching about them, cause they are slaying. Also, I do enjoy him briefly in the climax of the episode showing fear and nervousness watching Henshaw go apeshit on Toyman's mech. It's good foreshadowing for how perceptive he is, and how even he can tell there's something wrong with Henshaw despite his patriotic performance. And now, for perhaps the roughest part of the episode for me. Lois trying to expose Winslow being up to no good due to being bitter about him betraying her and her dad to Task Force X last season and almost blowing them up. Lois for most of the episode stumbles and tries to brute force a confession out of Winslow, who seems to just be selling toys and insisting he's reformed. This episode really highlights a problem I have with Adventures Lois. Her continued impulsiveness and somewhat idiotic way of investigating things. I gave her a lot of slack in seasons 1 and 2 about not being as clever or resourceful as other Loises due to her age and inexperience, but it feels like she never learns or grows and still makes the same impulsive and destructive decisions. She proceeds to make a scene in the con and traumatizes a young child thinking her bail is a bomb, which Clark has to bail her out of. She's only saved by noticing Winslow keeping actual weapons in plain view hidden amongst the merch and con decoration, and rage baiting him into showing his hand by wounding his pride. Not happy at being called washed, Winslow reveals his legally distinct, totally not a Gundam mecha ready to throw down. Only for Captain Hank Henshaw to absolutely throttle him while Lex Luthor does his usual anti-alien sales pitch at the con, hyping up his homegrown American hero, with Henshaw coldly declaring his vow to take back humanity's future. The episode ends with the gang contemplating what to do now that Lex is back on his make humanity great again bullshit, and particularly what to do now that he has Henshaw as his personal Superman. Meanwhile, Team Lex pats themselves on the back for the good press and their plan to win hearts and minds before setting their sights on destroying Superman. I'm gonna be real, this episode was a mixed bag for me, and showcased the biggest strengths and weaknesses of my adventures with Superman's writing as a whole. As usual, the biggest pull of the show is its character writing and relationship drama. While I do worry if they're going to drag out Jimmy and Kara's will they or won't they subplot longer than the audience is willing to put up with it, like they did with Clark and Lois last season, this time around the reasoning makes sense at least. The writers are not overlooking how messed up of a childhood Kara had, and in spite of Jimmy's whining about it after the fact, his choice to take it slow with Kara, not wanting her to just jump at the first positive person in her life that wasn't family, was the right call. I will say they better wrap this up next episode because I do not want this to be an all-season thing, because I, like many, aren't too fond of this type of plotline overstaying its welcome. I already talked about the best of Kara's emotional growth and the worst of Lois' lack of, so let's talk about the real elephant in the room, the continued struggle with the show's villain writing. With some exceptions, Adventures has had a hell of a time writing compelling villains that stack up to their earlier incarnations. Starting off, this is unambiguously one of the lamest versions of Toyman. Like, yeah, he's never exactly been one of Soup's A-list villains, but he was at least often a fun or creepy antagonist with an interesting gimmick. This one just being a random old arms dealer is just dumb. And to be honest, what exactly was his plot in this episode? The episode never says or even implies why he was at a con with weapons and a legally distinct not Gundam. I thought he was there as part of Lex's plot to get good PR for Henshaw, but he flat out says at the end that Shock going crazy was a stroke of good luck for them. So what was Toyman's plan here? Like, his name is literally in the episode title, yet we have no idea what he was even doing here. Like, did they just lose the plot or something? I'm so confused. And it was disappointing after all the trailers and promos hyped up this mecha fight that he gets absolutely destroyed in seconds just to show off how powerful Henshaw is. The transformation sequence for the mecha was pretty nice though. I already talked about Whip, but while I'm giving her a bit of a pass for checking off all the wrong kind of boxes for me, she is just a goon with the usual civvy tech design problems. And as always, we have Superman's greatest foe in air quotes. Adventures Lex continues to leave me unimpressed. Besides the fact we're 3 seasons in and he still has barely interacted with Clark at all, I just don't buy this version as a capable threat. Every interaction with him feels like he's just handed a W because the writers need him to, over showing him actually manipulating people or any ingenuity on his part. He's usually just there. There's some interesting aspects with his red-pilled light characterization, or as close as they're probably allowed to with him in this cartoon. He still showcases his showmanship skills, hyping up Henshaw as an all-American hero and freely espousing his anti-alien rhetoric. But I need to see more. Like, I really want to see more focus on why this version hates Superman. Like, yeah, deep down all the Luthors share the same reason for it. Petty jealousy of someone as dopey and kind as him having that kind of power, and thinking they're more deserving. But much like Holt's version of the Cubald Crook, I need to see more seething and pettiness from this Lex. His brief chat with Jimmy did catch my attention. While he's his usual condescending self, bad-mouthing his comics and gassing himself up, Lex strangely treats Jimmy like an equal, and dare I say, a one-sided friend. He calls them both entrepreneurs and insists on trying to recruit Jimmy to his side. Whether this is manipulation, a condescending offer, or if Lex really does consider Jimmy a friend for helping get him out of his jobless despair last season, remains to be seen. But it has been the most interesting aspect about him so far all series. I just wish Superman's greatest foe would have more scenes with, You know, Superman. Now, Hank Henshaw, while brief in this episode, really sets the tone for what's coming. His entrance coldly pounding Mecha Toyman into the ground really showcases him as the main threat this season. From the get-go, they set him up as the perfect anti-Superman. A cold, bigoted, and insecure thug wanting to show off his power and supremacist mindset, who fights only for those he considers worth fighting for, or whoever his billionaire master deems worth fighting for anyway. I do worry if they won't expand much beyond that. Like, they really need to sell him as this show's Homelander in my opinion. An absolute xenophobic bastardization of everything Superman stands for, while mockingly copying his color scheme and hyping himself up with more flimsy patriotic window dressing than the reddest red state congressman. They have potential with Henshaw, but they really need to lock in on his character and not just leave it at an empty, I was designed to beat Superman mindset. I need them to channel that absolute having a meltdown over Superman on a children's charity game show levels of pettiness he showed last season. Make Henshaw the most pathetic, obsessive loser who loses himself to his own hatred and xenophobia on the brink of madness. Just please don't screw this up. He has the potential to be an S-tier villain like Brainiac. Now all we gotta do is see if they stick the landing. All in all, this episode was a solid B-. It showcases the best and worst aspects of Adventure's writing. I kinda wish either they made a better plot for Toyman, or committed to more convention cuteness. Like seriously, Clark gushing over miniature form figurines was adorable. And as tiring as the will they or won't they subplot is with Kara and Jimmy, the writing for it is far better than last season's relationship drama with our other pair of hopeless romantics. I just hope it doesn't overstay its welcome. As much as the show fumbles its villain writing as bad as Jimmy is fumbling Kara, I see potential as long as they commit. Still having fun, but I need to see more plot and less soap opera nonsense. What's happening next episode anyway? Oh boy. Now hold on, team. I know what I just said, but let's hear them out. Thanks for watching. Hey, thanks for checking out my video. If you enjoyed it, I'd appreciate a like and a comment. Both help me with fixing my algorithm after my long hiatus due to burnout. What are your thoughts on this episode? Do you think Jimmy made the right call, or did he just give himself the biggest L? Let me know down below. And be sure to subscribe for more super security fun. I also stream weekly, so come join us one night. Regardless, I'll see you all next week for a gigantic episode 3. Until then, be safe, love always, and keep fighting for what's right, team. See you next time.